Mellow, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to a fantastic Fatal 4-Way draft race. Exciting draft race between four very talented runners. We got Nobody War, Jesus the Frog, the legend himself, Turdsman, and Leo. Leox is Leo. He prefers Leo. And without further ado, allow me to introduce my broadcast partner tonight, the one, the only, the Schwantz27.
What up, Drinks Glue? It's a Worlds Collide Wednesday on SpeedGaming 2 here, and we've got the weekly draft is a asynchronous weekly race, but four of our runners decided that they wanted to throw down the gauntlet and race this week's seed on Restream. So if you're planning on running this seed like I was, make sure you turn away. It's the only time I'll ever turn viewers away. But this is Worlds Collide, and it looks like I picked the sides correctly. We have the purple people eaters on the right-hand side, Nobody War and Turdsman, versus the green monkeys, any Legends of the Hidden Temple fans out there on the left side. So before we start talking about what it is we have to do with this draft, Glue, tell us what is Worlds Collide from a very bird's eye view kind of thing.
Well, Worlds Collide is an open world randomizer for Final Fantasy VI. We give you access to an airship. We give you access to the World of Balance and the World of Ruin. You are free to traverse back and forth between both. The way that differs from the vanilla game, it's kind of shocking because you get to the World of Ruin and, well, the world is in ruin. You can't go backwards in time to when it was nice and peaceful. Our goal is to find characters and espers and or dragons, complete some objectives, and that will allow us to go to Kefka's Tower, climb Kefka's Tower, and defeat the evil clown in the sky.
Yeah, so this is an interesting set of options because our runners drafted which of the settings we will be playing with tonight, and we're going to go over them pretty fast here. You'll see on screen, in order to unlock the final boss of the game, which is the objective of Worlds Collide, we need to either get 8 characters, 10 espers, 5 dragons, or 18 bosses, and we need 2 of those things. There is no counter for bosses on the tracker. You could see espers, characters, and dragons. That's what those gold numbers are there. So we'll keep you guys abreast of the situation, if you will, as we go along there as to how many bosses they've killed. I've got a little pen and paper here to knock them out. We do start with 3 characters, and our 3 starting characters for tonight are going to be Realm with Lore, Locke with Throw, and Celeste with Magitech. And Celeste with Magitech is interesting because you can unlock the Magitech upgrade by either completing 12 checks or going all the way and doing the Magitech Factory Finish, which is one of the areas of the game that Celeste unlocks. And we'll talk about, there aren't really key items. I guess you could say the characters are the key items in this game because they are the ones that unlock more areas. So, Glue, you want to tell us some other objectives that our runners may or may not choose to decide to do here?
Yeah, they definitely flip-flop. Some of them wanted to have a good time tonight, and some of them wanted to have an awful time because we're getting no good spells. We've removed Quick, we've removed Merton, we've removed Ultima, some level 3 spells, plus some more spells. But on the other hand, we give ourselves some of the better commands. We're getting Blitz, Magitech, Rage, Shock, Slot, some of the stronger commands, some early offense, or just offense throughout the seed. Scaling is pretty tame. It's ×2 for every character, Espers, or Dragon. That's pretty typical for most Worlds Collide flag sets, or something in that ballpark. However, we have no boss or dragon experience, as we mentioned before. Plus, we got shuffled statues waiting for us at the end of Kefka's Tower. What that means is we are fighting Poltergeist, we are fighting Goddess, we're fighting Doom in Kefka's Tower at some point in time at one of the 3 statue spites. They're just shuffled amongst each other's selves.
Yeah, I would say the scaling is actually a little bit more harsh in this flag set because while the enemy levels XP and MP are based on 2 times our characters' espers and dragons, the amount of XP that we're getting per fight is going to be based on the number of bosses and dragons killed. So we're going to see a lot less XP given out than we're used to for our runners here, and we'll see how they do that. Valiant Knife, where Ice Shield is the first choice in the Norse Weapon Shop, which is one of Locke's checks. The item rewards in this flag set are based on the Doom's Rage set of flags. So that is the really good weapons, the Ice Shield, and the Mega Elixir. And as we've already seen with the barter shops, that means that everything costs 2,000 GP, everything sells for 1,000 GP. and the shops are very random. So we did see a Minerva in the World of Balance, Narsh, and we also have got some earrings there to bump up our magic stat users as well.
Yeah, DM Stewart also pointing out that Y remove is on for this. What Y remove does allows the runners to do is they're able to remove any NPC sprites they see. And one of the weird things about Final Fantasy VI is some doors are considered a sprite. So that gives us access to remove some doors and give us access to a few checks we don't normally have access to. One of which is the Mount Zozo check. Normally you got to purchase the Rust Rid, and that door is able to be opened. However, with Y remove, we can just walk right on over that door and remove it for some reason. Why is that reason? We'll never know, but we can do it, and we can go up there if we want to.
Yeah, so that allows us to access more dragons, as you mentioned, because both Edgar's set of checks with the dragon in the ancient castle and the dragon in Mount Zozo are now accessible via YNPC remove. And unfortunately, there we go. That was the YNPC. It's actually set to X Zone Vanish. So there's a little animation before the NPC disappears, but it's still going to go bye-bye. Turd's been picking up a muscle belt there in the relic shop. Good to use with his Valiant Knife as well. So Jesus the Frog may have already found the most valuable item in a barter shop. He's found the cat hood, and with Realm in tow, that's the the vanilla wear. So we're for sure getting double money at this point throughout the rest of the seed. And remember, bosses aren't given experience. So to get levels, we're going to have to take fixed encounters, regular fixed encounters, and that's where your GP comes from within a barber shop. You're not going to be able to sell everything for large amounts. That elixir is only selling for 1,000. That behemoth suit's only selling for 1,000. So with that cat hood doubling all that money we are getting back, that is huge because Jesus the Frog's really going to profit later on in the seed. Plus, it allows you to do things like Zen Thief, where other runners may not be able to do so because it's really hard to get the money to do it without being able to sell stuff. Yeah, so here is going to be an interesting point of choice here. We do give our runners 3 Moogle Charms to avoid those random encounters. However, I would probably take the Moogle Charm off here as I was looting the South Figaro basement, and we do see an Atma weapon from the South Figaro prisoner check, which is one of Celeste's checks. The no free progression flag is on, as you mentioned, so that means that any check that doesn't require a fight will result in a high tier item versus a character or an Esper here. Yeah, so far it doesn't look like we've seen any random fights yet, so our runners are keeping the Moogle Charm on for now, but they're going to have to figure out a way, Glue, to get some levels.
Yeah, I think it may be a while because with those barter shops, normally there's a lot of things in standard pricing flag sets that you just would never suggest buying. Ooh, that's 60,000 GP in a chest. That's essentially 8 items, but there are a lot of things. Like I would personally always consider a cat hood, no matter what. However, if you come across a force shield or a force armor, you're probably never considering buying that. However, because it only costs 2,000 GP, you can turn a mithril knife and like an Emperor Helper. It's something you would just sell anyways. Maybe that's what you pay for sleeping bags with. And this flag set, that turns into a force shield. So you're more inclined to buy some of those fringe items that are really beneficial to you, but not something you can typically spend money on because you don't have that much at your disposal. So with that in mind, 100%, you're visiting a few more shops just to find more things to cash in on, and to get you're going to have some pretty heavily outfitted characters here in the short to immediate future.
Yeah, so a couple of interesting things to point out here. We just found some ice rods and some pearl rods for sale. Oh my goodness. Leo has broken open the seed there a little bit in World of Balance. Narsh, it looks like Jesus the Frog has found that as well. As Chadius mentioned in chat, although Locke has throw, which would normally be great, it's not very good in a barter seed, so that Valiant Knife is very welcome to see to have a build for him. And I don't think we've talked about some of these other objectives. So we may have to kill 5 dragons to get our Kefka unlock. 6 of them gets our Kefka Tower skip. Killing 2 dragons gets a Dragoon set, so we might see some Imp strats, because I saw an Imp Halberd in one of the chests somewhere. 4 dragons gives us plus 20 magic power, and if we end up finding Shadow, if we do the Floating Continent Escape, Veld Cave, and win a Coliseum match, we get the auto dog block status, which is hilarious. So some other objectives to sprinkle through it. It's one of the coolest things about Worlds Collide is we do have such a dynamic ability to work with fun objective rewards in order to do certain things and to try and sway people to do certain checks. Floating continent's a rather long check, but if you're going to get auto dog block, you you might want to go ahead and do that.
We've also had some pretty good, just general chests so far, and that's a product of the 100% random chest. Like a third of the chest in vanilla Final Fantasy VI end up, they're mithril knives, they're elixirs, which elixirs are cool and all, but they're mainly a source of money. With 100% random chests, we're taking all of those vanilla chests, throwing them out the window, and shuffling every single one of them and redistributing them, and it just ends up with so many broken items, across so many chests that float out there, and it's really, really makes chests really, really, really lucrative and worth your time to do a little more looting. Alright, we got our first monster in a box peek from Jesus the Frog. It's some PM Stalkers.
Ooh, this is a nice one to find, especially in a no boss XP seed. This is one of those ones, it's one of the only monster in boxes that give XP and MP, so let's go ahead and take that out with an ice rod right away. So Glue, now that we've talked about a bunch of these different options, if you were running this seed, what would you sort of do first? Would you take off the Moogle Charm like some of our runners are doing? Would you head towards like a check like Owzer's Mansion maybe, or Opera House Disruption where there's force fights early on? What do you do here?
I think it's A, get your characters very well equipped, and then B, as you're going to have to do fixed encounters because you can't beat the game at level 3. You're going to have to do fixed encounters somewhere, and you want to make either mental notes or write down what you find and where you find it, because you're probably going to have to come back to that spot multiple times throughout the seed if it's lucrative or if it's a good fixed encounter, because you really don't, like, if you're running around everywhere guessing, that's where you're going to find a lot more of the level magics, or you may find a spot that just, isn't very good and not worth your time. However, if you can find the one sweet spot, the one spot with Diddledos, which you can just revivify and go on about your business, or Chaos Dragons, or whatever it may be, if you can find where that spot is and know where it is, that's like your access to all of your levels. That's your grind spot, and that's probably the most valuable thing, the most RNG luck that can sway your way, is finding that good spot and just knowing where it's at throughout the entire seed to get your levels.
Yeah, the problem in a barter seed is Revivifies cost 2,000 GP. They don't cost the small amount that they normally do, right? So, that's a slight wrinkle in your plan. But Nobody War is in Jador and found Thunder Shields in a shop, so he bought a ton of them. So I think it's shield cracking time for him, folks. Meanwhile, Jesus the Frog doing our first boss fight here, which is number 24. And Turdsman went into the Coliseum. So in Worlds Collide, the items that you get for the items you bet are randomized, and the enemies that you fight are randomized. And in order to help you out, we kind of give a menu to see what you bet and what you're going to get. So he traded smoke bombs for thunder shields, and that's a pretty good trade there.
Not bad trade at all. Looks like Turdsman's found the gold thunder shield mine as well. Leo is taking on one of the Chimera sprites. Each one of these are inherently dangerous, because they can use some AoE attacks to you. It's also dangerous when you have Locke cosplaying as Bucky Barnes, but not the friendly version.
Yeah, no thanks. The curse shield count, I didn't quite see what it was. I thought it was double digits, but I don't remember exactly how many it was. But if we do not have a ribbon or a peace ring that we have found, we can't mitigate that berserked effect of the curse shield. So it's a little bit more difficult to uncurse it that way.
Yeah.
Stuart says 12. Yeah, I thought it was something double digits. I just couldn't remember what. So thank you so much, chat. The real MVPs of the stream here, as Jesus the Frog did pick up Palador, our first shiny stone from that fight with number 24. It looks like his strategy is just going to rush bosses in order to get the XP and GP reward up. Because remember, right now, our boss XP scaling, the amount it gives out, is based on how many bosses and dragons we've killed, right? So right now that number's 0. And I don't know if you've multiplied by 0 lately, Glue, but it's not a good time.
I had a professor. His one rule of thumb for Java and C# was just don't ever divide by 0 and you'll be fine. Turns out there's more ways you can break things than just dividing by 0, but it's a good philosophy to have.
Yeah, divide by 0 is one of my favorite things to debug in computer science. All right, so we have Nobody War tracing, I think, through Owser's Mansion. We've got a dabbing Yeti on screen for Jesus the Frog here.
Yeah, I think this is a reset here for Jesus the Frog. We don't want to kill this fine character that was just minding his business.
Nah, we've got fire and pearl rods. We're fine.
All right, so this is interesting for Leo because this is a really good fight, but it's a really dangerous fight.
Yeah.
He took it at the grabbing chair spot within Owser's Mansion, and that means all of the floating chests further up inside Owser's Mansion will be all this fight. However, you are never safe in an Enoch fight, especially when you already have one Berserk character, because you can very easily have a few more Berserk characters if you would like to have them. Enoch will gracefully do that for you, and you'll thank him for doing so.
Yeah, especially a Berserk character with a Valiant Knife is not a fun time either. So I did see a few runners check out Zen Thief. Normally in a barter seed, Zen Thief is kind of out of reach, right? Because you're spending all of your money and you can't really sell stuff to get up to the 40,000 GP I saw in the World of Ruin. There's also another disincentive for our runners. There is a plus 10 boss levels if you buy the Zen Thief objective in this seed. And I don't know if we want to be plus 10 boss leveling when we know we have shuffled statues inside of Kefka's Tower.
Well, that's a very
good idea.
that's a very fair point. Poltergeist, Goddess, and Friends, they get a little more scary the higher the levels get up there. However, I do think with that Cat Hood in tow for at least 2 runners, and it's one of those things where the Zen Thief, like, you may not be able to gracefully afford the 40,000 GP at any point in time early in the seed, but it's still good to know later on when you're rounding out your requirements that what if it's in reach or not, because if it's you'll like you can just kind of gauge your GP as you go through, because there will be some checks that you end up doing in a seed no matter what that have forced encounters anyway, so you stumble across some money that way. Looks like Leo's not afraid of Enoch should be afraid of him, and he's gonna take a few more, but yeah, just knowing,
but not for me.
Yeah, fortunately oh my god, speaking of ambulances, we found the dream.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, can we just do this check like
so
over and over again? Yeah, so the max scaling is 40. So if we get up to 40, the plus 10 levels will still be added on to the max, so that would be level 50 statue bosses.
Yeah. But no, Jesus the Frog is going to walk out. If he's going to farm the other rats, there's going to be 2 more rats of this kind up here. He's going to walk out of here around level 30. Fun fact about Gigantos is they have next to no magic defense, so using a fire rod on them is essentially the same thing as just casting fire to you. So if you're ever in a blessed position where you're picking, do I want to Ice Rod or Ice 2, just go ahead and Ice 2. There's a little benefit to not doing Ice 2.
Fixed dice from the Vanilla Opera House Dirt Dragon there for Nobody War. Can anybody use it? Unfortunately not.
All right, we have a question from DM Stewart. Is an Invis Edge calmness protection? Yes and no. It does
just
grant
for that one character.
Yeah, just for that one character. Keep in mind too, anytime you are casting Vanish on a character, you also make them susceptible to being hit by every magic spell. And Medio is technically a magic spell, and you're throwing the low accuracy out the window. So if you're trying to Vanish to it, you're always risking getting full party Medio or single target Medio. In the case with an Invis Edge.
Yeah, which is why Phantom is calmness protection, but it is very scary. All right, so an update on where we are with bosses. So Jesus the Frog has 2. Nobody War has 0. Leo just killed his first. Herdsman is about to kill his first here. So still a long ways away from Kefka Tower requirements. But remember, there are 6 bosses inside of Kefka's Tower. So really, we only need to get to 12 and then kill all the bosses in Kefka's Tower, right? There's also 2 dragons in Kefka's Tower. So Nobody War is our first on the board with a dragon, but realistically, we only need to kill 3 dragons outside of KT, right?
Yeah. So Jesus the Frog only has 1 Phoenix down, and he has a down realm, and he's about to get possibly another down character. This went from incredibly fortunate to incredibly unfortunate fast if this doesn't take out both of these guys.
Yeah, I would think about using the heal beam for Celeste.
Why do we second guess him?
No, never any doubt.
Yeah.
Did we see what was on some of these espers that we found so far? We found Shiva from one place, and I know Jesus the Frog has found a couple of others. Doom, it looks like Doom, which
I
is
can
always
tell
nice
you-
to have for the final fight.
I can tell you what's not on them, and that's things like Merton and Ultima, because they decided. Remember, they picked the Tell's Lament, which says no good spells.
Yeah, no tier
So-
3 elemental spells, none of that fun stuff.
All right, Leo's
and
going.
even if they were in, they'd be harder to find because of one of the other things we have there. You know what we can do though? We could break Thunder Shields at Bolt 3. So that's what Nobody War is doing here, and that's Dragon number 2 down for them.
This is probably the lowest magic defense Opera House of all time, because Tritalk also has no magic defense, and this Fire Beam is going to do a lot of damage. Yeah, 4,000, because Tritalk is a joke. So yeah, that's probably the best Opera House that could have been there for this seed. The free Gigantos plus the Tritalk at the end of it with Fire 2 and Fire Beam. Yeah, pretty fortunate for Jesus the Frog there. And with all of those levels, that's just so much less time they have to do grinding now. Plus, they're getting a Terra. I mean, best Opera House ever.
That's nice.
If he was appreciative of what he's received, he would go back inside and give a performance.
So we've got Terra with slot, and now that we have Terra drinks glue, where else can we go in our world that we haven't seen yet?
Well, I think with the barter shops, we're probably doing Sealed Cave. Sealed Cave gives us access to the Imperial Treasury, which in the vanilla game is a guarded room. Eventually gets unguarded after you have dinner with the Emperor. But here, as long as you got Terra, you can get in there. So that's a bunch of chests. That's with 100% random chests. That's so many good stabs, good chances at some good things. Plus, we can get all of the chests on the way through the sealed gate. However, with the no free progression on, we are not getting a character esper at the end of this. We're getting just another item. But still arguably is worth it because of all the loot you're going to get.
Yeah, I would just take the treasure room and walk out. Oh, hi.
Yeah, there's an Illumina. Let's just get out of here. But Terra also gives us access to 4 other checks. The Elite River, which it could be another one of those, if I'm going to do some fixed encounters, maybe I do something that could give me progression while I do those fixed encounters type things, and we could see some runners go there.
Yeah.
We also get access to Welt Gate, Mobliz, and World of Balance Zen, where you recruit Terra with Ramu.
Yeah, so Turdsman in the World of Balance to Zen found an offering for sale. So we've got the Dream, the Valiant Knife, the Muscle Belt, the offering here. Excuse me. We also found a Luminous for sale as well.
How
are you?
Yeah. Zen recovering very nicely from the lot of Judgment Kefir threw at them. Ooh, there's Super Balls as well, but we're kind of maybe past the point where Super Balls are useful for Turdsman.
What was the reward at South Figaro Cave? Let's see.
I want to say an Esper.
Mark it down? I must have marked it already for Nobody War. Sorry. All right. So, yeah, our runners are gravitating towards those checks with those fixed encounters in them because, again, bosses and dragons won't give any XP in this particular set of options.
All right.
I think we also saw Leo learn Mute. So one of the other espers that he has Mute on it, which is another great spell that you want for the final Kefka fight. So not only are our runners trying to figure out how do I not die to all these throat jabs from Gigantos, but they're also thinking about how do I kill Kefka at the end of the game, because that's going to be a guaranteed thing.
Yeah. Good news for Nobody War. He's about to find his double Gigantos as well, as long as he doesn't dodge too many more rats. There he goes. Very nice.
Question from the chat. Just stamina raise HP growth. So stamina basically doesn't do anything in Final Fantasy VI. It will block some instant death attacks, but usually that's only for enemies, and it will determine how fast you bleed out when you have the poison or sap status. That's basically what stamina does.
The good news is it does the same thing if you cast Regen on yourself. So if you really wanted to gain 100 plus HP every 8 seconds, stamina is a great stat for that. Other than that, stamina is not worth investing anything into.
No. We did get a Ragnarok at the end of the Sealed Gate Cave, so another big beefy sword to throw around, and Tara can naturally equip one of those big beefy swords, so that will probably be her job. 22k for Zen Thief and World of Balance.
It's a fair price. So this is another small moment, and Jesus the Frog has found one of them. But this Zen has anything you could ever want, including the Esper being cheaper here. However, if he visits just a few more shops, he's going to be cooking with gas. All of that same gas Turdsman found. So this is, if Jesus the Frog goes left, he doesn't go straight out of town, he's going to get all those wonderful things for sale here. So I think he will.
With the... I'm very surprised that our runners did not go to Magitech Factory yet with the ability to get the Magitech upgrade. I would have thought that we would have gone there, almost immediately. But that's why I'm in the booth and not running the race.
It looks like Leo's doing some little grinding here in one of the better grind spots because you get the free heal. I'm
thinking about it more. Maybe we don't need Magitech upgrade, right? We've got Valiant Knife, we've got an Illumina that we found. We have a Ragnarok at the end of the Sealed Gate Cave for whoever goes there. So maybe we don't even need the Magitech upgrade. And of course, now that I say it, Turdsman and Leo are like, I'll show you, Schwantz. Sure.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Turdsman was playing with you a little bit. He's going to go do the Wilk 8 spot now with his newly found Terra. Gangadi asking, well, first off, good evening, Gangadi, my dog. Can you life glitch the Gigantos? Let's travel back in time a little bit to 1991. Final Fantasy II is released in the US, and the developers forget about the vitality stat. The way the life glitch works is that when a character or enemy is revived, their HP they are revived with is their vitality stat. However, all of the fixed encounters in Final Fantasy II have 0 vitality. So if you bring it back to life, you just kill it again. However, that glitch, they figured it out sometime between 1991 and 1994, and that glitch does not work in Final Fantasy 3 or 6 in this case.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, that is very much a not this game type of glitch.
No, no glitches in Final Fantasy 3. They figured everything out. Nothing wrong there.
Well, even though that was a bit of sarcasm for Drinks Glue, we do actually have a lot of glitches that were fixed in the Randomizer of Worlds Collide. It is, things like the Vanished Doom bug, some other things like that. Now, Leo just did something really, really interesting.
I think Leo's going for characters and dragons or something. He doesn't care about Espers.
Well, here's the thing, right? We could Y remove these two, and we don't actually get the reward because you have to trigger the fight in order to get the reward. We're going to the minecart first, and the minecart is 3 forced encounters and then 2 bosses for a guaranteed Esper item. We can always come back into Magitech Factory at some point later and clean this up if we find we need Espers later. But this is a really interesting strategy to get levels early and then come back later for bosses when we've got more power and we see we need Espers.
Is that a double economizer play for Jesus the Frog? No, he's just switching around. I was about to say maybe he knows something I don't.
What happens when you divide 1 by 1?
Hold on, let me get Gemini open again.
All right, so here's the Welk spot for Jesus the Frog. That is a Narsh soldier, so this is not going to be another character. It will be either an Esper or an item. However, once we finish this check, we can go back and grab that ice shield that was the alternative from the Narsh weapon shop check. So this is a really good spot for him. Unfortunate Pearl proc there from Terra.
Yeah, I don't think Jesus the Frog found the Thunder Shields for himself, so he's maybe not be hurting for them, but it's still nice. It's not that far away. It's little to no time commitment, and then ice shields are still a fantastic piece of equipment. However, this is like that proc was like unfortunate there because it gives the fights are creeping up on us. We're not outscaling them as we go through. Each fight gets a little bit more tougher, and sometimes it all just kind of hits you with a wave when you up the scaling, and then you run into a far tougher boss. Like he did here with Atman Wade Form.
I mean, the good news is that that was on the first turn and not like 3 turns into it when you just heal the boss for all his for all his HP back, right? So
yeah. Yeah, but looks like Locke isn't coming back up because I think he is out of Phoenix Downs. Oh no, this is I hope to one day become a level 70 magic myself. However, I just don't ever want to fight them. So that's unfortunate for Leo there to find them on the minecart.
Yeah. Thankfully, though, we are getting another preemptive.
Yeah. There's literally no ever time where it's a good idea, just because of all the status effects they can throw at you. It's just never a great idea. You're maybe thinking, oh, let's get some free ability points. Just don't do it. Just trust me. You always regret it.
And some of them have reflect on, so I never know which is which. The only time I ever take on the level magics if it's a level 50 by itself, because those are the only level magics that are undead. You could just throw a Revivify on it and get your 20 MP. But actually, other than that, don't even bother. Actually,
Schwantz, I'm going to correct you there. You were telling the loyal gamers of SpeedGaming fake news. You can Revivify level 10 magics as well.
Oh, excuse me. You learn something new every time you watch a Worlds Collide seed.
All is forgiven, though. We know you didn't have ill intentions in your heart, but nevertheless, fake news is fake news.
Yeah. No, make sure you correct the record before everybody starts parroting my bad advice. All right, Seraphim at the end of Magitech, and that was another Esper for Tursman at the beginning of Magitech. As anticipated, Jesus the Frog did grab that Ice Shield, and is now frantically trying to find Magitech Factory. So, the way Worlds Collide works is, as we mentioned, the characters are kind of like the key items, or they unlock more parts of the game. There are several places that we haven't seen yet that must contain a character in order to continue to have us continue the game, because how Worlds Collide logic works is you must be able to find all 14 characters in your playthrough of the scene. So that means that the Elite River, the Phoenix Cave, the Zozo Tower, or the Battle at Mobliz must be where our character is, right? And the Kefka and Norsh battle. So those are the 5 places where our next character can be. So let's keep an eye out, and we'll see if any runners do one of those checks, because that'll probably be the next time we are going to be finding another character.
I think Leo may have completed the fastest Magitech facility ever, because I don't think I've ever seen anybody work through spot 1 and 2, even in draft flags or more unorthodox generations of flags or combination of flags there. So kudos to Leo for his world record tonight.
Yeah, when you remove the first 2 bosses, going to the end of the Magitech Factory is pretty easy. And
yeah, we should just do that every time.
Yeah, right? And that is actually a really good heads-up play to get Celeste online now with the Magitech upgrade. So the Magitech upgrade gives you the Tech Missile, the X for Instant Death, the AoE Bioblaster, and the Confuser, which is good for Katana Soul and some of the dragons that are susceptible to Muddle. On top of, all of those elemental beams that you've seen some of these other runners using already throughout the seed. But Tech Missile is the prize for the Magitech upgrade.
I think Tech Missile is probably my favorite ability.
Tech Missile is pretty sweet. It's a very fast, defense-ignoring, non-elemental attack that also inflicts the sap or seizure status. So it's flare plus.
Yeah, it's like the Yumaro of magic abilities. You just put your cursor on memory and hit it over and over again, and you're good to go.
That's it. Set it and forget it. I will say that if you have a tier 3 elemental spell and the boss is weak to it, then use that over Tech Missile. In this flag set, we're not going to have that, right? So Tech Missile is going to be our most powerful magic spell that we get access to.
Right, I think we're down to Zozo, Phoenix Cave, Kefka, Narsh, and Wheat River, as you mentioned. Oh, and Mobliz, right? We've seen everything.
We got 5 left.
Seen everything Celeste and Realm have to offer. Let's play a little guessing game. Let's hypothesize where character Number 5 is waiting for us. I'm going to guess it's going to be at the Trollius spot, and I'm not even sure if it can be there. And the reason for that is I think Phoenix Cave can be progression and no free progression because of how long of a walk it is.
That is correct. So Phoenix Cave can be a character.
So you would think that, hey, it's technically free, but because of the long walk, it's thrown in there. So I'm going to guess 1 or 2 of our runners are going to last location it with that thinking.
Ruh-roh. That was a Grand Train. Thankfully, we have Realm with lore. So how lore works in Worlds Collide is similar to how it works in the vanilla game, except you don't even have to have the lore person in your party. If they witness the lore, or if your team gets hit by the lore, then your lore user will learn that ability. So now Grand Train is the most powerful magic ability that we have. There's a correction to the record here.
Yeah. Almost as good as Tech Missile, except does more damage and it's not as cool looking.
It's basically dark matter, but without the inner triangle thing from Drone Trigger. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Sabin at the end of the Elite River because of story beats in the vanilla game. I think that'll be fun. What about you, chat? Which character are we getting next, and where are we getting them? Tursman still has 3 characters, if I am seeing.
He hasn't done Opera House.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So he will have to... Looks like he's going to have to last location the character twice.
So one of the interesting things about the algorithm in Worlds Collide, we mentioned that you need to be able to find every single, character in your seed. Mm-hmm. The way that the algorithm picks where the rewards are going to be, it makes the seeds deeper than they are wide, which means that characters tend to come at the checks of the characters that you've just acquired, right? So if you're looking for characters, more often than not, and this is not like 100% of the time case thing, right? But the way math is, more often than not, it will be at characters that you recently recruited, and your espers will be at your, starter checks. That's kind of how the algorithm sort of works. I've had a few people ask about it before, so figured I'd shine some light on that.
Ooh, that was Behemoth suits for sale. Looks like 3 of the party members could wear them. So Leo,
nice.
It's a pretty sweet feeling there. Behemoth suits give great stats, plus they on the higher end of the defensive side. So just a fantastic piece of armor that only 2 people can usually take advantage of. But feel it pretty good feeling there. Nobody War is going to unearth some new information for us. We're going to see what's going on at the end of Elite River, assuming he can get through the boss. So we're going to cross off one of those 5 that we are been hypothesizing about here soon.
Let's see a Sabin. Come on now.
Yeah, looks like Chatty has predicted Mog here, you predicted Sabin. So we have 2 people's wager on the line. We may cross 2 people out of the pool today.
One of the interesting things, Glue, is we do have YNPC remove, right? Mount Zozo is considered a free check because you don't have to fight anything on the way in. There is an optional dragon there. So there won't be a character at that check. However, Edgar's 2 checks, the Figaro Engine Room and the Ancient Castle, can have a character that we would get, as they say, out of logic, because we don't know where Edgar is yet in the seed. So we can still get a character there. It's just not guaranteed that we're going to find a character there. Whereas it's guaranteed to be at one of those checks that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
So we could all be wrong.
My stance on that, though, is that when you're this far into the seed and far through all of the checks you have available, it's really backbreaking if you guess the out of logic stuff and it doesn't pay off. Because all you did was run up, your Esper count even up higher over your totals or something like that. So I think if any other
behind too, yeah.
Yeah. So I think if anybody was going to do that, they would have maybe already done that by now. I'm all for personally going for out of logic for a stab or 2. But if you're going all the way out of there as a shot in the dark for your way through the seed, you're really, putting yourself back into a wall and hoping the game doesn't curse you. And that's the game loves to curse you. The game hates you. I don't know why. We're all nice people. But the game seems to hate us sometimes.
All right, so Turdsman is heading up to World of Ruin Narsh, the top here. So the Tri-Talk check is a not character gated check, as we like to say. It's a open check for anybody. However, it can only reward an Esper or an item. So this will not be a character here. And if we eventually do get Umaro, as Gungadi predicts at Phoenix Cave, then Turdsman is going to have to do this walk twice because the Umaro check comes after the Tri-Talk check. All right, so Nobody War taking advantage of the instant death ability, and of course it missed.
Yeah, it'll hit eventually. It's mathematically guaranteed to. Either that or you run out of MP, one of those two combinations. But hopefully for Nobody War's sake, it connects for him. Ooh, he got a Chocobo shuffle with his slots. It's been a while since I've seen the Chocobop.
Yeah, Chocobop is great, except it doesn't hit floating targets. Thankfully, SR Behemoth is not floating.
All right.
And moment of truth here. Oh, it is a character, but it's neither Mog nor Satan. It is Shadow.
Yeah,
which means we can go get our dog block on.
Yeah. Honestly, like with floating continent, it's probably like the next stop right now because all the fixed encounters are up there. Plus, the character search now is getting pretty bare. It's not going to be here at Gale Manor. It's just going to be a high tier item. Ooh, Nobody War got the Magitech upgrade. I forgot that you got it for I think 12 checks.
Yeah, it's either. Turdsman doesn't have 23 Espers. It's either 12 checks or the Magitech factory finish. So. Nobody War decides, nah, I don't want to go to the Magitech factory.
Yeah, no need.
All right, 5th Esper there for Leo, 7th for Jesus the Frog at the end of the Magitech factory. Nobody War is the only one with a 5th character here.
And as we were just saying, Nobody War is going straight to the Magitech factory. Bad news for him, though. He's not going to get another character out of this. It's most likely all statistics surveys, demographics point to the next character behind Shadow. However, again, not guaranteed, but just most likely.
Yep. So interesting thing about where Leo is now in World of Ruin to Zen, you could actually do terrorist check in the World of Ruin if you remove the guy that's laying down in front of the door. And actually, you don't even have to fight the boss for terrorist check with Y remove, because you could basically just do the same thing that he did with the Magitech factory bosses and remove them out of the way. And when you go into the next room, the reward will actually be there. It's not like in the Magitech factory where the boss is, or rather the reward comes as the fight trigger is over.
Yeah, there's really no point to fighting that boss up there. So since you're here, if you realize that, you might as well go up there. I guess he's doing a dragon play for his Catholic Tower unlock and whatnot.
Speaking of bosses, Jesus the Frog at 8. Nobody War is not tracking them, and I'm not counting right now, so we'll skip him. 7 for Leo, and 7 for Turdsman. Soon to be 8 after he gets through this. Let's see, how many did Nobody War do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he'll be at 7 as well after this fight. If you're interested in learning out more about the game, ff6worldscollide.com is our website. And I just put in the chat, as well as on our website, there's a link to the Discord server where you can find information on how to download and start playing the game, as well as, people to talk to and interact with about how cool this game is.
This game is so cool.
Mark, what are you doing?
Schwartz
having a case of the Mondays there.
There are 14 characters in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, and Schwartz, can you list all 14 in order from your favorite to least favorite, please?
Gao, then 50 feet of you-know-what, everybody else, and then 50 more feet of you-know-what, and then Umaro.
Oh, only 50. Okay.
Only 50.
All right, well, that's probably the nicest thing I've ever heard you say about him.
Yeah, Gao is my favorite. he's a bit of a wild card because in Worlds Collide, he doesn't have a fight command in the vanilla game. He has leap and rage. So both of those abilities get randomized. And sometimes you get really, really good stuff, and then sometimes you get a runic control Gao, and he sits on the bench for all eternity.
But when you get a good Gao, it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, his checks are also great. Velt is great-ish. Again.
It can be. Depends on the day of the week.
Yeah. All right, so Leo's going to show us Ramu there at Mobliz. So that's another one of our potential avenues for a new character taken away from us. So you can talk to that little girl, and she will tell you what the reward is. And Leo says, no thanks.
Yeah,
the interesting thing about... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Leo is definitely doing some combination of Dragon or characters for his unlock, and he'll figure out the level situation later, excuse me.
So the interesting thing about the Mobliz check is that you could actually fight 2 bosses there. So Funbaba 3, which is the first boss that comes out, will count as a boss if you kill him, and then whatever randomized boss for Funbaba 4 will count as a boss. So in this particular flag set, Mobliz is doubly as lucrative. The problem is you have to beat that boss with a reduced party because he'll huff and puff and blow 2 of your characters away.
Yeah, but with the experience scaling being bosses thrown in there, that's actually an interesting idea you're positing, is that it's going to sneak 2 in there. And more often than not, for every time you fight a tough boss, there's 10 times you fight a total armor at that mobile spot and you think nothing of it. So it's a decent chance that you get through that pretty comfortably.
Yeah, the statue bosses will not be there. Remember, they're in Kefka's Tower. So, all right, Turdsman here, taking off the Moogle Charm inside of Phoenix Cave. So this is another check that we haven't yet seen before. So this will be interesting, and we will see whether or not they decide to fight the dragon in here. Because they only have a party of 2 now, because they have to reduce. You have to split it up in order to go into Phoenix Cave.
Movers is actually a fantastic fight because he has the Illumina and the Tech Missile, which are guaranteed hits. Movers are annoying because you can't usually hit them. You need something like a Pummel or whatever, but both of his characters fortunately have that always targeting offense, so that Movers probably the best grind I've seen so far that was not at an actual check.
Yeah, nobody beats the double Gs.
Yeah, I take that back. I would prefer Chaos Dragon ×2 with Aquilas every time, because you're not in any danger of dying. However, we saw a couple close calls with those double Gigantos, and they always sneak up on you, right? They never announce their presence, so you have time to be ready for them. They always get you and are always a threat to you. Ooh, nice heads up play by Tursman to Bahamut.
Oh, the jerks!
Run, my friend.
F's in the chat for Turdsman.
Run, Tursman right now. Or are you going to learn a lesson about the Movers? Yeah.
So one of the bugs that we did fix, I mentioned bug fixes, is the evade bug from the base Final Fantasy VI game. So Movers are actually very difficult to hit because of their high physical evade, unlike in the vanilla game where that stat doesn't matter at all. Yeah, he tried to get the Bahamut cast off before the silence. It's just unfortunate. All right, so character number 5 coming up for Leo here. We're going to grab Shadow, and we'll see if they decide to do Shadow's checks right away or if they're going to keep going. I think that considering that they've already done Magitech Factory, I think Floating Continent's way more appealing.
Yeah, I think once some of the other runners come across their Shadow, the Floating Continent will be in their closer to immediate future than Nobody War, because Nobody War had a lot more game to explore because he happened to take a stab in the Dark Elite River, whereas everybody else will be pretty much down the Elite River when they get down there. But we still could find another character. Ooh, this is a good fight. This is a fight I like to see.
Not Brachiosaurus, but still,
yeah,
a good dino fight.
I'd actually wouldn't want to farm Brachiosaurs because you're never perfectly safe in that fight. However, Broadtaurs, as long as you have some stuff underneath you and some equipment, you're pretty much fine. If you're level 3 or whatever, then Broadtaurs can wipe you from time to time. But with this point in the seed, we're just fine. All right, is Turtman gonna take the dragon? I guess he's taking the dragon. That's gotta be why he's healing up here.
Yeah, so one of the interesting glitches, quote unquote glitches, that we don't ban is this menu tent or sleeping bag glitch, where if one of your party or one of your split parties is standing on a save point, you can actually swap over to the other team, and as long as you don't move, you can still either save the game or heal your team.
Mhm.
So we're going to get a dragon fight here in Phoenix Cave, Red Durgan, and Leo, as we mentioned, heading up to Floating Continent here. Totally makes sense. You get 3 forced encounters and then 2 bosses before our first reward. Would you be going hard for the dog block at this point in the seed, or would the Coliseum match thing just be extra time that you don't want to invest?
I feel like you don't know me in the slightest, Schwantz, and everything I stand for, because it's the first and only thing. I would probably prioritize that over beating the game.
Fair enough.
But no, it just makes. I know we found pretty decent amounts of armors for various runner screens, but on screens, but that dog block, you really feel the effects of the levels, the lack of levels from the lack of experience. You'll feel that with the physical attacks on tiers 1, 2, and to some extent tier 3. And that auto dog block, the ability to block and negate some of that, will be huge for them later on.
Oh,
that's interesting.
This is a great person to find at the end of Phoenix Cave, because you could just put one person in your team, and now you're heading over to Zone Eater to do that check and be done with it.
Yeah, and Gogo's check is not in the realm of free progression, and it will be a character or Esper here.
That's correct.
Actually, I take that back. I think we found one of the possible dead checks, because when you start with 3 characters with no pre-progression, there's 2 dead checks that exist in the non-free spots. I think we found one, so there is one more out there, and it could possibly be here. But
So
still love it.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But still love this idea. One of the drawbacks of doing it later on in most flag sets and most seeds is that you're finding more progression but not getting levels. But it doesn't really matter because the bosses aren't leveling you anyways. You might as well just find the characters and give yourself more stabs at better checks if you can, and then worry about the grind later.
Yeah, because Turdsman has not found the Terra who has led to Shadow. And both Terra and Shadow have 5 separate checks between the 2 of them. So we'll see if there's something here at the end of the Zone Eater Cave. And we've got flying dinosaurs there for Leo after taking out that first boss.
Here's a question I don't know the answer to. Does the Marshall fight, because it has the Tyrannosaurs in, does it not give experience as well?
Let's find out. I don't think it does, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm gonna guess no, it doesn't as well. But for Leo's probably thinking the other thing, or if he's thinking what I'm thinking, or positing what I'm positing, he's hoping for the other thing. Oh, it did.
Wow. Okay. I guess it does. Well, something we'll have to go bug fix later on.
Yeah. The good news, though, is nobody was going to get that nice little dinosaur experience here in just a minute. I wonder if Jesus the Frog knows that this is considered no free progression. It is admittedly a little tough sometimes. You don't play no free progression too often, so it is hard to always know what is or isn't considered free and not. Some of the stuff is easier than others, but the fringe cases like Phoenix Cave, Mount Zozo, and Zone Eater, they're admittedly hard to iron out all the time.
Yeah, also remember, we can get an Ice Shield or a Mega Elixir from this, which we could definitely use, right? So it's only a couple of extra steps. It's not a huge walk to get over here. Unfortunately for Jesus the Frog, it is an Aura Lance, although we should have... did I increment the wrong counter for dragons? I might have.
Does he not have a warp stone?
So with 2 dragons, he does get a Dragoon set. So he now has the boots and the horn if he wants to use that Aura Lance. And it is Raiden at the end of Zone Eater. So the Phoenix Cave Go-Go is a dead end for us, unfortunately.
But I think that means we've seen Kefka at Narsh, right? So that means the seed is Opera House gated. So everybody's going to find those double
I don't think we
Gigantos.
have. I don't think we've seen the Narsh battle yet.
Oh, funny thing. Turdsman looks like Turdsman doesn't have the warp stone, any warp stones either, so he's gonna have to walk out as well. And he almost
double walk of shame. Well, thankfully, on the way back, you can get thrown off on purpose. And of course, the moment that you try to get thrown off on purpose, the guys just run away from you. All right, so Leo also removing the Atma Weapon boss there in the middle of the Floating Continent will not get Floating Continent number 2 reward, but I guess that doesn't matter because Floating Continent number 3 is what is needed for the dog block, and it is guaranteed to be a character or an Esper. So it definitely looks like they are not going to be going the boss route, and they're going to be picking one of the other 2 objectives to unlock Final Kefka.
Yeah, 18 bosses in a no boss experience just adds up to like 3 hours of game time, so I don't blame him whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, the thing is, you have to, unless you're getting skipped by killing 6 dragons, you have to kill at least 5 bosses in Kefka's Tower. That brings you down to 13 bosses, right? So... And with no free progression on, you can't get your Espers or characters in checks or there aren't any bosses. So it's kind of like you're almost forced to kill bosses even if you don't want to. Unless you do, the thing that Leo's doing here and just skipping out on some of these. Because that Floating Continent number 2 boss, we're never coming back there.
Yeah, it's gone.
If you wanted to, you could click on the maybe not, actually. I wonder, because the Floating Continent option doesn't appear for you anymore after you complete this check, so maybe you can't actually get back to that part. There are lots of soft locks you can put yourself into with YNPC remove, so be very careful with it, and that happens to be one of them, right? What if I needed that particular thing?
Yeah,
you can
there's
also remove the dot here at the end of the Floating Continent, and you don't have to fight the boss, but you will get the reward, and that is another character there.
I'm not sure if I would call that a reward or not, but it's a character at least. All right,
I should have amended my character tier list to put Strago above the 50 feet of poop before tomorrow.
Gangadi asking the important questions in chat for Swans. Would you rather have Yumaro or Strago in your party?
Strago, 100%.
Okay.
I am not a Yumaro person, but
I never would have guessed.
Not everybody can be, right?
All right. Leo going back to Shadow's other checks. He looks like he has the same feelings on Strago as everybody else does. It's going to be awkward if we have to do Fanatic's Tower because, well, we have Fire 2 and not much else, and we lose access to all of our abilities and the fight command in Kefka's Tower, so we're not getting through there easily if we have to go through there.
Yeah, I think we're going to head back to that shop with the Pearl and Ice Rods if we have to go to Fanatic's Tower.
Yeah.
Because the item command is the only other command that you could use besides magic in Fanatic's Tower.
Yeah, if something is up there we can't kill with rods or Fire 2, let's say Magimaster for example, I don't think we have Berserk, so it's essentially unclearable. You can Berserk yourself in Fanatic's Tower, however you have to have access to the Berserk spell. But if we don't have access to it...
boy. Did you see what Nobody War got from Floating Continent 2?
Ooh, what did he get?
He got Golem.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so Calmness Protection for Nobody War in a check that Leo skipped out on. So
yeah,
that is interesting. Find out more at 6 o'clock, folks. All right, and here is the train. Unfortunately, we don't have the Blitz command, so this is one train that will stay unsuplexed. However, we can instant death it, and that's almost as good? Question mark.
I mean, you get through it. So the good news is, well, one of the cool things about Worlds Collide is that if Leo really wanted to suplex this train, we can fight it infinite number of times in Phantom Forest if we find Savin. And that's one of those weird little quirks where all the soft blocks that exist. A lot of flag sets like to be on theme and allow suplexing the train to be an objective. Some of them even have it as a requirement to take on Final Kefka. And if you let's say the Blitz character is behind the Phantom train, well, then you can't suplex the Phantom train, right? But the solution to that is Phantom train. You can fight infinitely over again by going to the Phantom train check after you've already completed it one time.
It's not a great way to grind, though.
It's not ideal, especially in zero boss experience seeds. I don't think. But I mean, it's outside the box, and I'm all for thinking outside the box.
Yep. All right, so Nobody War finishing up floating continent here. Jesus the Frog, Walk of Shame out of World of Ruin Narsh. So Leo getting their auto dog block 2/3 of the requirements. We just need to go win a Coliseum match now. Thankfully, we did get Strago, and we didn't do the Velt Cave check. There's a lot of synergy with Strago and Velt Cave because you could go into two of his checks, Ebbets Rock and Burning House, and his other check we already mentioned, Fanatic's Tower. You could actually see what the reward is at the bottom. So if it's a character, we might have to trudge up Fanatic's Tower. And then here's the boss that Leo skipped out on at the end of the Floating Continent, the Grabby Pasta. So Nobody War is probably going after the boss requirements here based on what we've seen.
Turdsman has finally found out the good news that characters do actually exist. They were at the Opera House waiting for us. So we still have not seen Water Balance Zozo or Kefka at Narsh. I don't think we've seen Kefka at Narsh. Somebody may have peeked it and we missed it. Feel free to correct us. Or me if I'm wrong in this spot.
Yeah, I don't think
But here's hoping there's a character behind Strago. If not, we're going back on that Terror path. But that would be good news for Turdsman because Turdsman just got on that Terror path and he'll be right back in line with everybody else.
And you know who else it would be good for? Jesus the Frog here, because Zozo Tower is the only Terror check that we haven't seen yet, and he's doing it right now.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to wyvern with the boss or take it.
Yeah, it depends on if he's chasing the boss counts or not. I think in this seed where it's kind of unpredictable as to, where I'm going to get my characters, I might want to take the boss just so I can get the boss unlock. Ultra's Chupon here for Leo. Where is he? Oh, he's in Ebbets Rock. That's right.
Yeah. Bad news, this fight doesn't give it experience. The good news is, though, we're already used to that feeling.
None of them do. And here we go. We're going to just yeet Dodaluma into the next universe, and we're going to get the reward here. So let's see.
Ooh, it's an Esper, at least.
Yeah, so that's his 10th Esper. And an Esper at Ebbet Rock as well.
All right, so kudos to Jesus the Frog. I don't think I've ever actually seen this before, but he's going to walk out of World of Ruin Narsh and World of Ruin Zozo and World of Balance Zozo. I don't think I've ever seen a runner do that before. So we're seeing a lot of first, a lot of records and history made tonight.
This is awful walking out in this way. All right, so here's the Coliseum fight for Leo. So they are definitely going to get their dog block here. Ooh, Gauntlet's a nice surprise. Yeah, there we go. Especially with the amount of Illuminas and Ragnaroks we have. Gauntlet, it doubles your weapon's battle power, which basically equates to anywhere from like 30 to 50% more damage with higher levels. So Gauntlet is definitely something you want to use on your Illumina or Ragnarok user. It won't work with the Atma weapon because the Atma weapon is not two-handed. It won't work with the sniper. It won't work with the fixed dice, and it will work with the Valiant knife, but it's not nearly as useful because the damage that you get from the HP that you're missing just super eclipses anything else that damage does. So that's the auto dog block for Leo. Getting
Very
all
nice.
the dogs here.
If you got a dog emote, throw it in chat for Leo in honor of Leo. First runner to get the dog block so far, but I would assume the first of many.
So with Worlds Collide, it's really hard to tell sometimes who is in the lead. We've got numbers all over the place. Jesus the Frog is the only runner that I think that has at least one of their 2 Kefka requirements. They have 10 bosses, 3 dragons, and 4 characters. So they've got to get either 2 more dragons or, let's see, 2 more bosses before going in Kefka's Tower. So he's on his way there. However, with just 4 characters, and we know that we need to fight the statues in KT, that makes that a bit daunting of a prospect, don't you think, Lou?
Yeah. Turdsman found the good news that there is a Ramu at Mobliz keeping the kids warm at night. However, he's going to take it from them, but this will give him his 10th Esper, so he'll have 1 more notch on his belt for working towards his final fight. Plus, as we discussed earlier, this Fumbaba fight will technically be 2 fights in the boss category for him, assuming he get through the second one and it's not too tough for him.
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, his main damage just got blown away, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, there goes the tech missile. So.
Oh, okay. So Kefka Norsh is a soldier sprite, so it is a required Elite River.
Burning House into Elite River.
Opera House.
Into
Opera
excuse
House,
me.
Elite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Into Floating Continent. So that is absolutely
Very
brutal and disgusting. Yeah.
Normally that doesn't happen in Worlds Collide, but the good thing about a linear seed is that you kind of throw some of the routing out the window. I mean, not in this case because some people are getting to their stuff later than others, but it's more based on execution versus routing.
Yeah, I looked away for a minute and Chatty has called it out. This is a vanilla Fumbaba. I thought, like, why is there 2 characters fighting Fumbaba? Did I miss an interesting strategy? But nope. We just had Fumbaba into Fumbaba.
Yep.
Alright. Nobody War is going to find out that Ramu is here. I'll be interested to see if he's going to go left or go right here. I'm going to assume he's going to go right. And right on cue, he goes left.
He zigged when you thought he was going to zag. Did the dog delete? The only way to do this check?
Oh no, Leo didn't. Leo
did not do the dog delete.
No complaints from me, but yeah, right when you walk into that far house on the left, the tile immediately in front of where you walk in is what triggers the interceptor to walk out. And if you go left or right and just don't go up past it, you can trigger that. You cannot trigger the dog spawning, and you have to do that on your way in or on your way out. If you step on that tile in either spot, he comes out, and you can't leave him in the room until he does his business.
Alright, so Turdsman is also at 10 Espers here. So yeah, the way that this seed played out, right, with the no boss XP, it really hammered home the point of do your grind fight check, stupid, with the Opera House into Elite River, into Floating Continent plan of attack here. So does that mean we see Burning House?
We either have to see Burning House or Fanatics if we want more than 6 characters.
Well, we have Go-Go at Phoenix Cave, so technically we know where 7 characters are. So the 8th one.
That's true.
Yeah, the 8th one has to be at Burning House or Fanatics. Because Go-Go unfortunately only has 1 check, the Zone Eater Cave. And
yeah,
so that was an Esper. I don't know what Turdsman's looking for.
Obviously, Jador. I guess he hasn't done Owzers yet, and he's going. Maybe
he's done this.
Okay, there he goes. I remember
That's what he was looking for. He's looking for the Thunder Shield shot.
Yeah, I'd come back to that Shield shop a time or two. I've heard good things about Thunder Shields.
All right, Esper number 10 there for Leo as well. So now it's a question of, do we go fight dragons or do we go chase characters? Right, because he's at 15 bosses. So 3 away, so he's going to get to 18 no matter what. Tursman is at 12. Jesus the Frog is at 11 and will be 12 at the end of the Elite River here, I believe. Nope, he's at 10 and will be 11 at the end of the Elite River. Nobody War is screwing me up because of his tracker. And let's see. We've got 4, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So he's got 16 bosses. So he's got 16 bosses and he has 3 dragons, right? So he can very well just head into Kefka's Tower here. He actually has 10 Espers looking at his tracker.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going into KT here. So
Nice.
we're either going to get 2 more dragons or just going to do it because we're going to get the bosses on the way.
Yeah, he's in the low 30s for his level. That's with good equipment. Like just about everybody has good equipment now. You can argue who has more than each other, but we have more than enough to beat the game on everybody else screen. And you can do Final Kefka in the low 30s with your equipment is S tier like this.
The problem is, can we do the statue bosses with a split party? That's where we get into trouble, right? And if we're taking a look at characters, Espers, Dragons,
they're going to be level
19 times 2, so that is level 38. And
plus, if we done Zen Thief, they're going to be 48.
He did not do to Zen Thief, so they're still 38. 38's not bad, but if your levels are lower than theirs, then that's not good.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here. And it looks like Leo is taking off the Moogle Charm and doing some grinding. Finds Tyrannosaurs.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the spot.
So as you mentioned, Blue, find your grind spot early in the seed, go get your stuff, and then come back to that grind spot when you know you're ready to go.
Yeah. Or just find the dinosaur later in the seed. That's perfectly fine as well. Yeah, that's 14,000. That's going to be a level every time he takes one or is fortunate enough to get one to spawn for a while here.
Tursman got ganked by a Guardian in the sky here.
Ooh, nice.
Trying to get to wherever he was going to go. So normally the Doomgaze spot, you can accidentally run into it with the airship, or if you have Setzer, it is an option that you could choose from the World of Ruin airship dialogue. You get access to fight this boss right away. So since we have no idea where Setzer is, this could potentially be a Esper that nobody is going to have access to, because this check rewards only an Esper an item. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Schwantz, I have a question. Were you around for the early days of Worlds Collide when pre-search disguise was an option? And if you wanted to fight the Doomgaze spot, you had to fly around the World of Ruin searching for every tile form like the vanilla game?
No.
Okay.
Did that exist? I have no idea.
Yes, Falcon Hit has told me about it. Like the go-to strategy was that if you were at 6 characters and 8 Espers, rather than keep doing checks, what you would do is just slightly tilt your controller and just start flying until you ran into Doomgaze.
That sounds way worse than the auction house. Give me the auction house over that any day.
He told me if you put it like right at the right, if you started in one corner of the square map and you started at the right angle, it took like 6 minutes to cover every tile. And that I could see that being an option. If you consider yourself 50% lucky, that means it's going to take you 3 minutes to find them.
When I first joined the community, it was back in the day. I think it was like 2021 when I first started playing. And I had just missed the cutoff on like character gating was just becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. And the strategy used to be before character gating, Phoenix Cave used to give out 2 rewards. So everybody would do Phoenix Cave first because there was no character gating and you got 2 rewards instead of 1. Mm-hmm. And there was a goner coming out. Oh geez. From Red Dragon. No thanks.
All right, interesting decision for Turdsman. He only has 5 characters, but he's going into the tower. So he's leaving Celeste, actually, Terra all by her lonesome to fight the fight against the statue and be the Moogle Charm carrier. And that's going to be, if Terra fights Poltergeist, there are a handful of abilities that come out where your Mule, Moogle Charm carrier being alive really helps in that fight because the split damage from some of the abilities it throws at you hit the Mule and allow your DPS character to not take as much damage. Without that, that Poltergeist, if it's in that Terror's lane, will be really, really ramped up in the difficulty.
Well, not to mention, right, even though an Illumina has plus 50% magic evade, it's still not 100%, right? So a stop blaster can happen at any time in the first half of the fight, basically. So you're basically one false move away from from getting game over, and there's nothing you can do about it in the Poltergeist fight with just one character.
And the ability scaling is not high enough to see things like Ultima, but we are still going to possibly see things like Quasar or Grand Train or Flare Star. If we can't negate it, doesn't care about your magic defense, it cares about your level. And if you can't block it, it's going to really, really hurt a single target character.
So here's Dragon number 5 for Nobody War. They will be in go mode after this particular dragon here. Turdsmen making their way through Kefka's Tower. Leo finally heading in after some grind fights. They are mid-30s with their party. That is way more of a comfortable place than low 30s, I would say. And is Jesus the Frog going in? No, they are going to Floating Continent. So
I like
we'll see them in about 8 or 9 minutes or so, unless they do the Y remove thing in the middle.
He could.
Which is totally possible because he doesn't need any more espers.
Yeah, he's probably going for his bosses, right? Because he's getting his 4 bosses up here.
Yeah, he's at 12. He can go into Kefka's Tower right now and be at 18 if he fights all of the bosses in KT for skip. But not for skip, for unlock. But I think he is looking for character number 6 just to get 2 and 2 and 2 for his parties. Right? He doesn't want to be stuck in a situation like Turdsman where he has to send one character all by themselves.
It could be also a combination of there are so many things going on with the split experience and so many different, no experience from bosses in so many different ways you can tackle that challenge that he just, some things can cross your mind about, there being actual bosses in Kefka's Tower to count towards that, or the dragons in there and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know what levels he's at. Based on his HP, he's probably, decent with levels, but more is always better, right?
Yeah. He's got to be like 33, 34 with 1500 HP. All right. Leo not far behind in the tower himself. So it's going to be interesting what Jesus the Frog can do or not do to get back into us. I think really what he needs is the 3 players that are in the tower right now. I think he needs them to falter somehow, run into a tough statue fight, or just not be prepared for the physical attacks Tier 1 and Tier 2 are going to throw at us. And that's one of the awkward things, too, is that if all of the punches are one-shotting your characters or whatever on Final Kefka, you're kind of at like the worst possible spot to find out that bad news because you can't get levels easily because your parties are all split up.
Right.
You can't go try to find a snow muffler or a behemoth suit or something because, well, you have to warp out and do a lot of walking to get back up here. So you're kind of committed to giving as many tries as you can.
Yeah, that's the thing. The lower your levels are, the lower your max HP is. And you want to be around 2,000 for your characters so that they could tank things like Merton on Tier 3 or the physical attacks of Tier 1 or the many powerful spells that Tiger throws out on Tier 2, right? So that's going to be where Nobody War might run into trouble. Is his character's HP is not going to be nearly as high as Leo's, definitely. I'm not quite sure what Turdsman's levels are. And hey, it's the last non-statue boss in Kefka's Tower is Kefka.
Yeah, we're gonna have Kefka sandwiched between the statues tonight. I had a grilled chicken sandwich from Subway. I mean, not Subway, Chick-fil-A tonight, so sandwiches abound.
I made some chicken empanadas tonight, so we're
nice.
doing all sorts of chicken stuff. Put my
Yeah.
air fryer to good use. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we'll get the spicy chicken here in just a moment. So yeah, if you got some chicken stories tonight, if you had it, maybe had it for lunch or dinner, throw it out there. I really, really want to learn how to make a good chicken Alfredo.
Well, thankfully, we do have a community member who is a chef, and they also happen to live in Italy as well. So
Oh, really? Who is it?
maybe they might be running on stream right now as well too.
Oh, wow,
I'll have to
Turdsman.
ask Nobody War during the interview section.
All right. I
Okay.
am feverishly writing that down. And statue number 1 is Doom. Probably with the Luminas that we have access to in Tech Missile, this is probably going to be the easiest of the 3 fights.
Yeah, the problem with Doom would be the second phase where we get the image status and the reflect status, but the Illumina rather never misses. So even things that have the image status don't matter. And if we have a Valiant Knife with an offering, as Turdsman is showing, you also can just blow right past the image status too. Same thing with Tech Missile, and it looks like we're getting a little Bahamut summon here. Nicely done.
Doom is one of those weird fights where it can be incredibly difficult, or it could have, be basically the same thing as a tunnel armor in terms of difficulty, depending on what you walk up to him with. But with Bahamut, we know just about everybody has some Illuminas or Ragnaroks. Those are some of the things that make Doom far easier. So, yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna have trouble with Doom. If we're gonna have trouble for Jesus the Frog's sake, it's gonna be with the other two.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we could always multi-summon Bahamut, because the multi-summon abilities is definitely on.
Oh yeah,
come out multiple times from that fight. So Turd's been picking up on that flag. I don't think we mentioned it. It was part of the. I think the card that gave us the magic good spells are more rare to learn type of thing. But I must have missed that part of the card. All right, so we got 2 statue bosses down for our right-hand side runners. And the question is, this is the moment of truth, I think, for Turdsman's seed right here, right? If we run into Poltergeist here, we're going to have to reset and figure something else out for Terra to do. Because the Illumina is a great weapon. However, it's not very good on Poltergeist, who has very high physical evade plus autosave.
Yeah, he's going to need Illumina procs if that's what he has here. But since it's got it, he's going to need not to proc Illumina swings.
Yeah, don't do Illumina procs.
Yeah.
So, all right, it looks like we're going to get a switch here. Yeah, so we might switch to Atma Weapon Offering or Valiant Knife Offering here. Because the Offering changes the fight command into X Fight, which actually allows us to get around the love token counter that Goddess will sometimes throw out here. There's Kama's protection for Jesus the Frog. And Strago is healing the boss. Come on, old man. Nobody War realizing he picked the wrong dance for Strago.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things Turdsman can do here. If he puts Terra in one of the bottom 2 slots, Terra will start the fight to Goddess's back. And he could get some double damage Illumina swings and then maybe switch to the offering, or excuse me, the Atma weapon setup. But it looks like he's going straight offering into it. And there's nothing wrong with that either. That way, if Love Token comes out, the offering will bypass it, as Schwantz mentioned. Looks like he.
Look at that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't get any bonuses with the offering for back attacks here. But
so the other thing that he could choose to do is break some rods, because even though Goddess has very high magical defense, rods and shields ignore magic defense when they're used as weapon damage. And here's Spicy Chicken for Nobody War, and there is the stop that instantly ends that fight. So again, even with a fresh warm body for Nobody War, still that fight can just end in a hurry. So we'll see how he decides to tackle this, and he decides he's not going to. What I think I would do if I were him, go fight another dragon to get skip and split your party up 2 and 2 and take on your statues that way, perhaps. What do you
Maybe
think?
that's what he's doing right now. I do like
Yep, there we
this
go.
from Thirdsman. That Atma weapon, because of the lack of levels, is not doing too much. But with the Paladin shield on, every swing is going to be a full HP swing. So we're getting a little north of 5,000 damage every time. It's not going to one-shot any goddesses. It's not going to be the fastest way through this, but it's going to be this nice, safe, and slow. And getting
Oh
through
boy,
this is the important thing.
this
As long as this
is
doesn't kill us.
no, that's yeah,
Okay.
that's a RIP.
So Thurdsman learned a valuable lesson that a lot of speedrunners learn, and that on tier 4 of Gods' battle script, she can use Quasar. But again, Quasar is shuffled into things like Doom Train, Grand Train, and possibly even Ultima or some other things and higher scaling flags. But yeah, without that second party member to split that Grand Train damage, we just flat out can't survive it. So turn 4 is going to always be a pivotal one here. If we 1 in 3 chance for Quasar to be selected, as long as it keeps getting selected, there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to wipe us.
So that's dog block complete for Jesus the Frog. And Leo, I would argue, jumps back into the lead here, having killed 2 of the 3 statue bosses.
I guess nobody would have picked the Fire Dragon, or the Flame Dragon. Yeah, that's got to be what's going on here.
Yeah, we're doing Phoenix Cave Dragon here.
He's going to get a go-go for free as well.
The other option is Ancient Cave Dragon or Fanatic's Tower Dragon. Those are the 3 we've got left.
Yeah.
I think this is the shortest one if we
because you can't
want to climb Fanatic's Tower, because we don't have great... It depends on how many rods and stuff he's got, right?
I would not expect to find multiple people to find the mover spot in this biome, but multiple people did, so...
Yeah, so actually I like this, going here and taking off the Mool Charm. This is a good idea. And there you see the high physical evade of those movers. Oh boy.
And you're all... Oh, there you go. So remember earlier I was like, let's learn a lesson about movers. There's your lesson. They have access to some non-elemental abilities they like to throw out every once in a while, and yeah, they don't look very scary, but they are they've ended up one or two peoples out there that you just that they did.
So Turzman's going with the Yin and Yang strat, a Genji Glove, Valiant Knife, and Atma weapon. So he's going to be doing nearly the same amount of oh no, he's switching to double Valiant Knife now.
There you go.
Interesting.
But now we're going to make the damage cap.
Poltergeist down for Leo, so that's statue number 3 of 3 down for them. Very nicely done.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh. Yeah, so do we have a wall ring for Turdsman?
If we put the wall ring on, though, we can't.
Or a thunder shield.
Anything that negates the elements coming at us. Well, maybe took the Minerva off. Yeah, that would have been... He would have got through it in that exact scenario. Yeah, maybe he optimized.
Yeah, that's what happened. Stupid Genji armor. Sell it. Sell the Genji armor. I'm so glad it is out of the high tier item pool now.
What?
Yeah, I think Turdsman had the right idea.
Yeah, I think he was right the first time. The Paladin Shield Atma weapon, and just keep rolling, and Grand Train's eventually not going to come out. Or the Grand Train equivalent, and he'll get through. You may want to do the save glitch you mentioned earlier. Stand on the save point with Party B, so Party A can stand right in front of Goddess and take multiple stabs at it. All right.
I don't think Genji armor has autosave.
No, it doesn't, but it's got pretty good defensive stats.
It's got good defensive stats, but it's not, Minerva's way better.
All right. Fun little game we like to play within the Worlds Collide community is how long will it take the first runner to complete the final fight? A good estimation for Leo here would be anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. 8 obviously on the faster side, 10 on the longer side. And Schwantz has gracefully decided that if you guess the time on the dot, he will give you a brand new car of your choice from the fine manufacturers at Chevrolet. He doesn't care if you want a Traverse or Camaro. He will fund it all. So get your guesses in the chat, and let's see if we can get one right.
Well, they don't make any 2025 Camaros, so that's what you're getting. You're getting a brand new 2025 Camaro, courtesy of me. the SS with the convertible and all that. So
All right, I'm gonna guess 1023, which Chetty is just so you have to buy 2 cars.
Sounds good. You guys can drive a stick, right?
I've driven a manual one time, and it was my old roommates, and I'm not allowed to anymore.
All right, so tier 1. This is mostly physical offense here. We want to kill that head first. We want to instant death that long arm, and we want to be careful of the counterattacks from the balled up fist. So it looks like Leo's got the right order of operations here. And we do have mute for tier 2, which is great. So we have that auto dog block coming in clutch here on this tier. Look at that.
Very nice.
Best boy interceptor. There it is.
Yeah, interceptor coming in handy. All of those wonderful pieces of defensive equipment coming in handy. Tier 1 is down. Tier 2 faces some similar challenges. However, with Instant with Mute, we're going to be able to wipe 2 pieces off the board. But the same logic kind of applies. We have an order of operations. We want to kill the various tiers in a certain order because we do have some counters that will come out upon death. But knowing that, I expect Leo to be just fine here.
All right, so Nobody War did kill his 6th dragon, so they will be able to get back into Kefka's Tower here. And if you don't know, you can actually go into Phoenix Cave without doing this reward. If you just walk over to those rocks on the right, you could actually teleport out. He didn't do Phoenix Cave yet and was greeted with Go-Go. I'm not sure how happy he is to see them, but...
Are you ever happy to see Go-Go?
If I have a Blitz user or a Sword Tech user, yes, I am absolutely happy to see Go-Go.
Okay.
Mute going out there on Magic, and we have probably already instant death tools, so we've got half of this fight taken care of already for Leo. It's now just Tiger, who's weak to ice. That's why you see the ice rods coming out, and then that blue guy does 10 hits. So we just have to make sure that we heal ourselves up after that. But our best boy, Interceptor, is probably going to take the heat for us in this fight.
Yeah, fun fact about the dog block, it will not hit the target if it's floating, and an unusual amount of parts of the final tiers of Kefka are considered floating, so you don't get the damage, but you're not worried about that. You're just worried about some of the stronger hits that come out that will put you in critical or wipe out some of your characters.
Yeah, Tiger is not floating, and Tier 1 is not floating, but everything else is. Oh, here's the Hyperdrive! Oh my god! Alright, so what's Turdsman gonna do here? He has 2 dragons, so if he wants to come out and then come back in, he's got to kill 4 more dragons. So I don't know if that's necessarily an option for him.
It would be pretty far outside the box if you started killing 4 more dragons. But I think he's fine. He has the right idea. He's just had some unfortunate luck. And, throw the spaghetti at the wall a little bit harder, and eventually it's going to stick.
Yeah, I think take off the Moogle Charm and get some more levels.
Yeah. He's not going to get enough to be able to tank a Grand Train or a Hyperdrive, but he'll get enough to where that maybe he can get Goddess down in 2 to 3 hits, or 2 to 3 cycles of his MR offering user.
Right. Alright, so Nobody War showing off the Kefka Tower skip here, and since he has already cleared out the middle lane, he's putting 2 of his characters from the final party in the left side, 2 of his characters from the final party in the right side, and throwing the scrub that is Shadow in the middle.
Man, you taking a lot of cheap shots at a lot of characters tonight.
Well, listen, not every character can be great every seed, and Shadow can't be great this seed.
Fair enough. All right,
Shadow's got pretty good magic power, so if you need like a magic user, Shadow is a sneaky good option in that case.
All right, blink and you missed it. Leo is on tier 3 and he's already working his way through it. There are 2 parts, which is less than the 4 and the 3 we have seen on the previous tiers. So that's going. We got that going for us. However, this is arguably the most technically challenging because that little guy up front, when he gets too much damage, when his porridge gets too hot or too cold, he likes to start throwing meteor and train at you, and just some nasty things.
Yeah.
And not to outdo himself, he will do calmness, which is a single target instant physical attack at the end of the fight when you take him out, and he can do it up to 2 times. And Leo does not have the golem that a couple other runners have found, so he's just got to block it.
Well, the good news is the Illuminas do give plus 50% both physical evade and plus 50% magic evade. So an Illumina is a good use of calmness protection. However, without Golem, we're not guaranteed. So let's wait and see Meteor come out, and then once we do, we'll throw our Ice Shield at him to get him down as fast as humanly possible. And it looks like Jesus the Frog sent his full party up the middle, so now he's scouting what's going to be on the sides. And he's at 5 dragons, so he will take another dragon and skip back into the tower to kill Goddess and Poltergeist. And thankfully, Calmness misses.
Yeah. Leo's a pro. He just had his characters block the Calmness. I don't understand why more people don't do that.
Just block it.
Yeah. All right, so we are on to the last stage of the Lavos fight. There are 3 pieces to this fight. You want to kill the left bit, the right bit that is actually masquerading as the real final boss. The other 2 pieces.
Blue,
wait, what's going on here?
Well, you can't kill the right bit right away. It's got. But anyway,
this must be Zero Miss. My bad, wrong game.
Yeah, wrong game. So yeah, what you want to do first now. For Kefka, we'll get off 1 round of attacks, and we will then get hit with a move called Fallen One, unless we do enough damage to him. Fallen One gives our characters 1 HP, but we have a Mega Elixir in our pocket just in case. If he gets under 30,000 HP, he might start countering with Hyperdrive or Battle. If he gets under 10,000 HP, he may counter with Ultima. However, we do get some reprieve for when he charges for his super duper cool looking anime style attack called Goner. That's when he'll stop counter attacking. So I think what we'll see, there's a counter physical, and here comes the charge for Goner. Now we're gonna hit Kefka with everything we got, throw our shields, and use all our biggest things, and hopefully this will be it. Time will be on the first flash of the Kefka fight.
Yeah, I think this Pearl Rod's going to do it, because we did go a little bit over before this Goner came out in terms of damage. Yep, 9999, and... Oh, no, we're seeing a Goner. I stand corrected.
Yeah, so Celeste is going to be sketchy as to her survival or not. Realm and Lock will be fine. And now we have to be careful, because he can counter with Ultima, and our team cannot tank an Ultima here. So this is a Pearl Rod, and if this does not kill Kefka, there is a chance to get Ultima countered, and we have to start all over again. But I think Leo is counting damage. There's the crack pow, the boom shakalaka. 1:34:06 is the official race room time. Get your GGs out and go give Leo a follow as well. Nobody More, meanwhile, redeeming himself from what had happened earlier, and is now back at the statues, and there we go.
We did have one runner also playing off stream. Do we want to bring Papa Shango in once? Because he technically won.
Yeah, sure. I will do that while you start the interview.
Oh, nice. That's Leo? That is Leo. My goodness. He finishes the game so fast. He joins the broadcast booth so fast. Leo, what don't you do so fast?
I know. I mean,
all right, Leo.
Papa Shango beat me, so I'm not the fastest.
All right, Leo. You were actually
we didn't see that, so that's not true.
Yeah, that's a lot of fake news going on in the stream tonight. But Leo, you were the one that picked no boss experience during the draft tonight. Was that your first time playing with no boss experience in a flag set before?
Actually, when I first started like doing seeds, I did one that was like a feature from someone. I don't remember his name, but it was something like making every flag. Like you needed to complete the whole seed or something, or a lot of things, and it did not have XP on bosses. Since I was new to the randomizer, I was like, oh, why does this not have XP? This is horrible. So that is like my experience with the no XP bosses. I got a lot like out of with the white remove. I also picked like a lot of checks that normally you wouldn't pick, but since there's no XP and you want XP from any source that you can encounter, I did that.
Yeah, just about everybody kind of, did things like the Leet River, the Opera House, Floating Continent if you found Shadow earlier, things like that to get fixed encounters built into their checks to get those levels that weren't coming from the box experience. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to
the seed definitely enforced the, hey, bosses don't give XP. Do your grind fight checks, because I think the seed was pretty linear. You had to go get Terra from Opera House. You had to go get Shadow from Leet River. You had to go get Strago from Floating Continent if you wanted to keep going, which is very interesting.
Was it gated at Opera?
It was gated by Opera House, by Leet River, by Floating Continent, and then either Fanatics or Burning House for the next character.
Oh.
So it was pretty awful. You guys did an impressive job of drafting awful flags and then rolling an awful seed.
Well, listen, the no XP thing was definitely planned. The seed was like, all right, you wanna mess around with no XP? Here, have all of the longer grind fight checks. So yeah, give us a little bit of insight into, I guess, your strategy with some of the various different options that we had with this particular seed. Did you know which 2 of the 4 objectives you were going for right away, or did you kind of wait and see how the seed played out?
Okay, so at the start, like before even the seed started, I was like, okay, I will get the 5 rounds. It's really easy. Then, like, I said, like, oh wait, I need war zones for the cyan check on so I was like, maybe I can do the rounds. Then the checks were like more on the my side part, so I was like, okay, so rounds will not be the go. So I was like, okay, so it's I wanted to go with characters, and I ended up with my sides. And then when I went to World of Ruin Narsh for the boss there, I was like, oh wait, I can get 5 bosses on the Kefka Tower, and I get the 18 bosses for the Kefka.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. You also did a couple of interesting strategies with regard to the Y NPC Vanish X Zone. We did see you remove bosses from, some of the checks where you could, like Magitech Factory and Floating Continent. Was that just to speed up getting to the grind fight parts of the checks? Was that like, what was the strategy behind that there?
Okay, so I did white remove right to left, like almost all the bosses that I could, because one, you don't get anything like XP wise from them, and if I did those bosses, I could end up in a situation where the bosses will overwhelm the level, the little level that the seed has. So
yeah,
a lot of skipping bosses, so I don't get power creep by the levels.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that the amount of XP you earned was tied to bosses and dragons, but the amount of levels that the bosses had was tied to your counting stats, like your progression, right? It's kind of one of those things where you have to make sure that you balance that correctly.
Yeah. Which I had to pay it at the end.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things is you remove the middle boss on
Floating Continent,
and the reward happened to be Golem for that.
Oh.
With that piece of information, right? Would you have fought that boss, obviously, for Golem?
It's still a no, because we have the flag where you will get the dog block with the three shadow checks. Like it was Floating Continent, it was Bell Cave, and one Coliseum.
Right.
And it came on clutch on Kefka.
Yeah, that is for sure. We did see it a lot. Glue, do you have any other questions for Leo while we got them here?
Leo, you had that dog game tonight, literally because you were the first runner to unlock the auto dog block ejective. Were you planning on doing that as soon as you found Shadow, or did that just happen to come out naturally, or what was going on there?
When I found Shadow, I was like, oh wait, this is Shadow, I can get the dog block. So I was like, okay, I'm going for that. First, I get like 5 battles on the Floating Continent for grinding XP. Bell Cave is really fast, and the Coliseum, I have a lock with a Illumina and running shoes, so that's no issue.
Very well said, and very well planned. Alright, Leo, that is everything I have for you. Do you have anything else coming up inside the Fantastic Worlds Collide community, or maybe in another game, or going on with your own activities you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go and talk to Papa Shango?
Not really. Just be thankful for the community and shout out to the new Mogul Cup that is coming. Hope all of the Moguls that are coming to the tournament have fun and learn a lot from the mentors.
Very well said.
Thank you. Thanks for volunteering to be on Restream. We cannot have the races without the runners, so really appreciate it. And also, thank you for your final Kefka time of 8 minutes and 41 seconds. I was 2 seconds off with my 8:39 guess. So I have congratulations. I have earned myself a brand new car, walked to meet it by myself. So thank you very much, Glue. You tried to stab me in the back, and it didn't work.
Well, technically, you may want to cancel those new formats because you had to guess the time on the dot to get the car, and you were 2 seconds off.
I'm also really sad that I got cornered.
Well, your goner made my prediction correct, so I appreciate your goner.
Yeah, Terra got punched, and you were almost correct on the time.
Yep. Oh, man. Unfortunately, Locke did not survive the calmness for Nobody War, so he's going to be in a bit of a spot of trouble here going up against Kefka. So we'll see how he decides to fight it. But thank you again, Leo, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, y'all. Have fun.
We are also joined by Papa Shango, who was running the race off stream. By the way, both of you, make sure you enter your times in the async room for this week. So Papa Shango, we didn't get to see what you did, so tell us about your strategy and how it played out beautifully, of course, because nothing bad happened, because we didn't see anything bad happen.
Yeah, exactly. Everything went perfect. So yeah, this was my first time doing a no boss experience. It's a flag that I've always avoided. So I don't know. I decided to do some extra grind fights in the beginning to get my levels up. I started at the figure okay for Locke doing a walking grind. Since I didn't have any way to heal myself either, I wanted to go to that pond. And then I found some super balls and ice and pearl rods. I'm not sure if the other runners found those. And kind of used those to get going. And I wanted to focus on dragons and bosses, since that increased my experience scaling before I kind of did anything else. So I went and did the Opera Dragon. I Y-removed into Cyan's check to get the dragon there before kind of... I kind of did a lot of quick boss checks before going into Magitech. And I'm glad I did. Those level magics in there were not great.
No, definitely not.
Yep, and so just kind of went from there. I was real glad that I put off Opera House as late as I did. I was down basically Opera House, almost last location besides Phoenix Cave or Kefka at Narsh, and seeing those double Gigantos in there, I think I went from level 18 to 27 in one fight.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was worked out nice there. I found that Atma weapon. I didn't think I'd get to use it, and those Gigantos let me get there.
So that's a 1:45:07 there from Nobody War. Get your GGs in the chat for them. So, same question I asked Leo. You have to get 2 of 4 different requirements for Kefka. Did you know which 2 you were going after right away, or did you kind of play the seed and see what it gave you?
Well, I wanted to see what the seed gave me. I knew I was going to do the dragons for sure, since it was increasing my scaling, and it was a part of skip. So I'm like, and you get the extra magic power. There's just a lot going on for killing dragons, and so I'm like, I'm definitely want to do that one. And then I focused on checks that had bosses, which we didn't really have any non-boss checks characters, but that was my plan. And then, if I happen to get espers or bosses or characters, whatever came my way, I was going to take. And it ended up being the bosses for me. I ended up with dragons and bosses.
Anything interesting that happened in your seed that you want to point out to us?
I guess I'm not sure what you guys saw over there, but I don't know if I took it kind of looks like I took a completely different route than a lot of people. So
news for you, my friend. You probably took the same route everybody did because the seed was Opera House gated behind Leak River, behind Floating Continent.
Oh, well, that never mind then. I didn't go up to the Floating Continent. Besides that, I guess, yeah, pretty similar. I didn't have any Phoenix Downs. I think I found one Phoenix Down in a box, and then I ended up using it on Locke when he got blowfished, and then luckily never needed Phoenix Down again. Made sure to pass around an Esper that taught life, and then had the multi-summon Phoenix if it came down to it. But yeah, basically didn't have any Phoenix Downs. Oh, I also didn't have any Warp Stones, and I forgot about it. When I ran the tower twice, I had to Walk of Shame out of the tower.
Oh, God.
And back to the hook in order to get back out and back in to use my skip.
Yikes. Glue, you got any other questions for Papa Shango while we got them here?
Nope. GG's, my friend. Did want to, before we move on to Nobody War, who finished second on stream, but first place in our hearts. Before we move on to Nobody War, is there anything you got coming on in your own personal ventures that you want to give a shout out and or mention to?
The only thing I mentioned is we got the last week of the Living Seed is going on. We've kind of thinned the ranks a bit, so if anyone wants to join in, feel free. But it will be starting up with to go inside with the Moogle Cup, and the Moogle Cup flags will be our base flag set, and then everyone gets to change something every week if they feel like it. So anyone that wants to try something new and really see all the wacky flags that can happen, and just how I guess mean your fellow runners can be on the flag choices, feel free to join in. They can also be nice, but generally it gets harder. And then also just thank you guys for putting on the restream. It's always fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for drafting. We'll see you on the next one. All right, Nobody War is showing us what's in Burning House. Well, while he's walking through that, GG's to you, good sir.
Oh, thank you kindly.
How's it going?
Oh, not bad, not bad. I feel like I kind of forgot what I was doing there at the end. That I bought a whole stack of Thunder Shields.
Yeah,
trying to like
break Thunder Shields.
Find some DPS late. Yeah. It is pretty early in the morning here, per usual. But yeah, no, this was a good run. I enjoyed the no experience on bosses.
GG's to Turdsman as well, finishing 149 flat with his time. Yeah, so what was your strategy, I guess, for the seed? Yeah, I was kind of I
was more worried about the experience scaling only being bosses and dragons. I knew I was like gonna do the full Magitech clear. When I found Shadow, I knew I was doing Fanatics. Like with Terra, I knew I was doing Lead. Anything that had fixed encounters to try to grind up some XP because I was going to get them off the bosses.
And that's 149.57 for Jesus the Frog.
These aren't bad fights in here. This probably wouldn't have helped me much, but
yeah, no. Yeah, so did you know which 2 of the 5 objectives you were going to go for when you loaded up the seed?
I was leaning towards the Espers and Dragons to start. And then it just so happened, like I checked there at the very end, and I was at 17 bosses. So I just jumped into the tower. My plan was to kind of do what I did originally, to like run the tower, kill the dragons, and like hopefully like have one of those be my sixth. But it didn't end up working out like that. I had to go take the one in Phoenix Cave and grind up some more levels at the end there, but it happens.
Yeah, I think that was a very good backup strategy for you. You know, to say, well, if there's a boss I can't win with, then that's what it is. Because Turdsman, I believe, was actually in the tower first, but he ran into the problem that was Goddess with
Who is it? So. Who is it?
Oh, you are getting a character here? Excellent.
Yeah, buddy.
So all the grind fight checks were the characters this seed. That's the real boss XP.
The seed told you what to do. It was like, we're not giving you XP on bosses. Go kill mobs and get your progression.
Yeah. Drink School, you got any other questions here for Nobody War?
Yeah, remember Schwantz, what I mentioned earlier, we were going to ask him the hardest hitting question of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody War, do you have a good chicken Alfredo recipe by chance that you want to share with me? Or the audience Alfredo. As well, I guess. Yeah.
That's like sacrilege over here, so I'm not going to speak on that, but I'll DM you later.
Okay, thank you.
That's the Americanized version of pasta, huh?
Yeah, you don't want that, sir.
They don't. Okay, I got you. All right, well, send any recipes my way and everybody else's way.
Just a good Parmesan and an egg, some water. It takes you a long way.
So thank you so much, Nobody War, for volunteering.
Yeah, you got
to be
it,
on
man.
Rich
Thank you, guys.
Can't have the races without the runners, and all you have to do is follow the Interceptor, right? Interceptor again, giving us, and there is Setzer. So Turdsman actually ran into the Doomgaze spot in the sky, but all you had to do was go through the burning house to go find your Setzer, and then you could pick it from the airship. So.
Yeah, I think that might have been the only lucky thing that happened to me this whole time.
Yeah, so we also are joined by Jesus the Frog. GG's guys on finishing that race. We'll do a little ping pong interview here. So we'll go Turdsman first. You see the flags or the options that were drafted, and what was sort of your strategy for attacking this seed?
Well, first off, shout outs to reading the entire thing. I believe it was Flame Eater when I noticed, boy, there weren't a whole lot of text boxes after that boss. I wonder what's going on. I'll just keep going through and it'll be fine. So that, I think that I could have sworn I went through all of the little draft picks and I just missed the boss XP one. But that's kind of the whole seed, right? Like something like that changes everything drastically. I'm kind of glad that I didn't necessarily, I had to sort of think on the fly, and it took me a minute to go like, oh, right, Opera House. And by the time I got there, I had like 8 or 9 bosses under my belt, so those double Gigantos gave me like 35,000 experience points or something like that.
Lucky.
So you were very late to the Terra party. Whereas I think Jesus the Frog was very early to the Terra party. So Jesus the Frog, tell us a little bit about your strategy with this draft flags that you saw.
Yeah, well, with no boss XP, obviously the usual strategy of just kill dragons early with rods throughout the window. I knew I had to do grind fights, that's why I went Opera House first. With the giant pile of ice rods and pearl rods from March, I wasn't really worried about any fights for quite a while. I knew I could just power through anything with those. I was really excited to see the Gigantos. But the no boss XP was really a problem. If it weren't for that, this would have been a really, really fast, fun seed. As it was, I was constantly going, all right, that's great. I just took another 4 or 5 checks. I'm still level 17. I need to take my time off and grind a bit, or I'm going to be... I wouldn't have worried about it. I would have gambled it. But I knew it was also shuffled statues. And I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
I'm getting through shuffled statues at level 27. That's not going to happen. In the end, I think I played it a bit too cautiously. Like, I didn't have to double dive the tower. With all the ice rods and pearl rods, and the ice shields and Minervas, I really could have just gone... I put one Minerva wearer in each party, basically, and then Minerva solo, double ice shield, and then just broken rods on all 3 bosses. I could have gotten through, so I could have saved like, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. But yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, so Turdsman ran into the problem that is Goddess with a solo person. You got her damage down a little bit, and then, around the halfway point is when she gets to her script where it calls for Quasar. And that turned into Grand Train and Hyperdrive and fun stuff like that. So even the Minervas and the Paladin Shield and the Ice Shields might not have helped you there, but I think having an additional character, Jesus the Frog, you had 6, right? Because you did, you went.
Yeah, I knew I had 4 characters when I was like, I can now go to Kefka's Tower, get the last 2 dragons, and have unlock. But with 4 characters, it's going to be miserable killing 2 dragons in Kefka's Tower, and also just trying to do literal solo statues in 2 fights. So I wanted to hunt out 2 more characters. That's why I ended up going to Late River, and then of course led to Shadow. Once I had Shadow, I'm like, well, why not? Let's get off dog block because it's fun.
Yep. And you ended up getting Golem on the way there as well in the floating continent.
That helped.
Which Turdsman you did not have, but you still did very well with your final Kefka fight anyway.
Oh yeah, I was pretty happy with how the final Kefka fight went. It was like I sort of threaded the needle between cautious and aggressive on that one. I want to unpack that Goddess fight though, because like first thing going through is like, okay, it's going to be Goddess. All right, I'll just reset. I'll pop the Paladin Shield on Terra. I'll pop the Offering on her. No problem. It's great. Grand Train does more damage than I have HP. Okay, what am I going to do about that? I don't know. I got a muscle belt. Hey, let's put the muscle belt on. That gives me enough HP to tank it. This is going to be great. You know Cockatrice. Okay. Well, that's probably not that common, right? I'll just go ahead and go through again. It'll be fine. I just got to get through the Grand Train, then I'll swap her over to a Valiant Knife. It'll be great. Hyperdrive! Okay, Hyperdrive is also here and does more damage. I'll come back later. So yeah, I didn't like having to do the double dive, but like, it was a bummer too, because I'm trying to keep that in my head as a good strategy for when you're running into a wall like that. But I kept thinking that I had a tool to get through it. So I kept taking another crack at it. Because like, okay, I just have to change these couple of things, then it's going to be fine. Nope. And it just kept not working out. And I really wish that I just did the double climb a little bit earlier. But, whoops.
Yeah, was there any consideration of going to get more dragons to get skip, kind of like how some of our other runners did there?
That might not have been a bad idea. I didn't think about it at that point. I would have had to get 6 dragons for skip. Yeah, so I would have had to like double back to like Mount Zozo or something like that, and I kind of didn't. I don't know if that would have been. I guess I'm not sure if that would have been time efficient, because I'm also not getting levels off of those dragons, which that's another thing I learned today, is that no boss experience, that dragons account. Yeah.
It's basically one XP table where we customize the bosses and dragons XP, because in the vanilla game none of them give any XP. I think the only thing Glue we found was the Marshall fight did give XP.
Yeah, the Tyrannosaurus do. Yeah.
I imagine based on the mobs that come with it more than Marshall himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the interesting thing. So, Glue, you have any other questions for Jesus the Frog or Turdsman while we have him here?
Actually, I wanted to throw a curveball. Turdsman, I wanted you to ask Jesus the Frog the final question before we let him go.
All right. Jesus the Frog, hey, did you find those Illuminas in that in the shop? I want to say it was that World of Ruin Zen?
I did not. I didn't check basically any weapon shops. I had a Ragnarok and an Illumina, and that was plenty.
I bought 7 of them, and I meant to throw a couple, but...
I do want to say one thing, which is that early on, I had no healing. I had no tonics, no potions, no sleeping bags, no tents. I felt very proud of myself when I, first of all, made it through Opera House with one
Yeah,
Phoenix
with like
down and
30
zero
HP
healing.
on each of your characters.
Exactly. And then when it was somewhere else, I was doing stuff. I ended up acquiring Starlet, and then used Starlet in battle to heal. I think it was in the Empty Factory. I felt really happy with that play.
Oh yeah, multi-summon I think was a big saver on this. Once I found Bahamut, then Realm finally had something to do.
I never cast any spell or Esper more than once, but Starlet for healing was big.
Yeah, that was one of the that was something that I don't think we picked up on. We picked up on you're not going to get any good spells, and they're going to be harder to find on the ones that on the espers that come out. But I miss the multi summon too. So, any other final thoughts, Turdsman and Jesus the Frog, before we let you go?
No, I'm good.
No, I think I'm good.
Thank you guys so much for volunteering to race on Restream. We can't do these fun broadcasts without the runners, so appreciate you volunteering your feed. And make sure you write down your times in the async room now that you've finished.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
And we'll catch you on the next one, everybody. Thanks. All right, Glue. I think we did it. We got through a race. And that was a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What else is going on in the Worlds Collide community that also might be some fun?
Ooh, fantastic question, and I got an even better answer. We have our 4th edition of the Moogle Cup officially starting this weekend. Moogles can start playing their matches, and they will hammer them out over the course of the 3 weeks. The Moogle Cup, we pair new players, new expiring players with beginning players. Did we go off? I think I'm still live. Right, we'll keep going. We pair all of our beginning players, our Moogles, with mentor players to learn the ins and outs of Worlds Collide, and they have a guiding hand throughout their journey through the Moogle Cup. And yeah, we have they have a chance to earn some individual accolades, earn some glory, earn some recognition, all against other fellow Moogles. And yeah, it's really cool. Starts next week, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited as a multi-time mentor. I like getting a fresh new perspective on the game. A lot of the people that are new have some experience with either other randomizers or the vanilla game itself, but you kind of need, both randomizer experience for Final Fantasy VI and vanilla experience. And there's a lot of information that, comes at you with this game. So it's interesting to see where people are coming from. My mentee plays Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, which is a game I have never played. I haven't even played the vanilla game. But just to kind of hear the parallels between some of the way that some of the game mechanics work is pretty interesting. The life glitch notwithstanding, right, Drinks Glue?
Yeah. Fun fact, there are a few more glitches in some other games, but really we've kind of wiped out all the glitches of Worlds Collide. And Worlds Collide is kind of unique in that we gate things by characters. So we go through seed A, we may go to 3 or 4 or 5, 6 characters checks, and then an entirely different seed. You would never even go to the same spot. So you explore a lot more of the game, and it's not as much of a linear path always through the same thing. So that's one of the cool things about Worlds Collide. And yeah, we got 18 Moogles, the largest Moogle Cup ever, that will get to experience all of those wonderful things with a guiding hand on the wheel.
All right, so it looks like Nobody War graciously showing us Fanatic's Tower is not a character. So yeah, do your grind fight checks and you'll get your characters. Who did we get at Burning House? Oh, Setzer. All right, so Setzer means Daryl's Tomb. And Daryl's Tomb is the only place you could find a character out of Setzer's checks in this flag set. So
Anybody go Kepka Narsh?
It was not a character.
It was not a character.
Jesus the Frog peaked it. Yep. So interesting. Very, very linear seed this time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for volunteering. Glue, thanks for doing commentary with me. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, SpeedGaming, for having us on our weekly spot here, and we'll hopefully see you next Wednesday for some other Worlds Collide shenanigans. Catch you later, everybody. Peace out now.
Bye-bye.